And the opposite of a hero is what, Katie?
Murderers!
That's right. We segued into our next story. Katie, lead it. Lead into our next story.
Hey, and I helped that time.
You did. You did. I'm proud of you.
Oh shit, come back.
Actually,
Okay, I
the
found it.
the opposite of a hero is a villain, Katie. A villain.
No, I know. But in this situation, they're fucking murderers. Anyway, are the Menendez brothers getting released? What to know about the resentencing decision? Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon? Gascon?
I think it's Gasson.
Gascon. Okay.
I think
I'm just going to
so.
say District Attorney George has filed a petition to resentence Eric and Lyle Menendez, opening the possibility of parole for the brothers serving life sentences for the murder of their parents. Attorney George unveiled his long-awaited decision in the infamous case on Thursday, saying the brothers have paid their debt to society. Yeah, okay. The petition asked the court to resentence the men to 50 years to life on 2 counts of first-degree murder, according to the copy obtained by USA Today. Under California law, they would be eligible for youth parole since they were under the age of 26 at the time of the crime, and they have already served 30 years in prison. Now that the district attorney's office has filed the petition, it will go before a judge. If the judge sides with the defense and the district attorney, a parole board will evaluate whether the brothers have been rehabilitated and are safe to re-enter society. Ugly bastards. Anyway, at a Thursday news conference, Nancy Thieberg,
I'm
Thieberg,
gonna go with the Burge.
Thay,
The Burge. The
Thieberg,
Burge.
Burge. Okay, deputy of charge of
Okay, look, pause
Jurge.
right here. If you're gonna be in the newspaper, could we have an easier to pronounce name, please? And
For real.
if your
The
name
fact
is
that you have
Nancy Theberge or Charles Gascon, and like we have to figure out how to pronounce that shit, tell somebody else how to like what you're gonna say, and like make sure their name is like Howard Smith or some shit like that. Because this
if
shit is
you're having to
hard.
sit if you're having to sit and think about it, that's how we know it's bad.
That's right.
Okay. Anyway, we got our nicknames. At a Thursday news conference, Nancy, deputy in charge of Yo George resentencing unit, said she would like to, said she would like to see the petition for resentencing go before a judge within the next 30 to 45 days. She added that the brothers could attend the hearing either in person or via Zoom. They need to fucking be there. Anyway, um, the the momentous decision, Lord, came after the brothers' attorney filed new evidence last year. They said shed light on abuse suffered at the hands of their father, Jose Menendez, a wealthy music executive. In the recent months, the brothers' family, as well as celebrities and human rights advocates, urged Yo George offices to release the convicted men, citing the new evidence and evolution in the understanding of sexual abuse victims. The Menendez brothers were convicted in 1996 for the murder of their parents, Jose and Katie Menendez, after their first high-profile televised trial ended in a hung jury. Their lawyers argued they could act in self-defense, and they were sexually abused by both parents. Prosecutors said the abuse never happened, and the brothers were seeking their parents' fortune. They then valued at about 15 million. The case gained fresh attention following a recent slew of documentaries and a controversial true crime drama that is actually really good, which all of which has hastened developments in the case. Here's what we need to know about the case and the Menendez brothers' uncertain path to freedom. What happens next? Yo, Nancy said Thursday the resentencing unit will coordinate with the defense to set up a court date so the petition requesting resentencing can be heard. The judge overseeing the hearing will then rule on the petition and decide whether the brothers will be eligible for parole. If the judge agrees the brothers should be resentenced, they will go before a parole board, which will primarily evaluate whether they are rehabilitated and safe to be released. which I don't like that. We don't really need the next part, do we? The district attorney, that part. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I would say let's go to what led to the district attorney's decision.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Let's get to that. Okay. Uh, George, the attorney, told reporters Thursday that he made the decision about an hour before the news conference in which he announced the bombshell development. He said his decision came after a careful review of the arguments on both sides, with some staff in his office arguing for the immediate release and others arguing they should stay in prison for the rest of their lives. He said his staff disagrees on whether they believe the boys were molested. After evaluating the evidence, the district attorney came to the belief that the brothers were subjected to a large amount of dysfunction in the home and molestation, he said, adding, I believe under the law, resentencing is appropriate. Another
Let's stop
factor
right
in
there.
his
I would stop right there. Let's stop there. So essentially, there's two different groups of people, in my opinion, and I already know where Katie stands, and I can see where Fubar stands as well in our chat, and that is that these brothers do not deserve to be out of prison, right? So, essentially, what you guys believe, I'm assuming, is that they brutally murdered their parents and they deserve to be locked up for life. Correct, Katie? Is that your place?
I mean, I just think if you murder people, you should, your life's gone too. But
Yeah, but the word murder is so open-ended, right? There's lots of different kinds of murder.
yes,
It just
yes.
depends on a lot of things, right? And so that's
Like
one.
they're probably not gonna. Well, that was just looking in the. That's my speculation from the show. So.
Well, it depends on which show too. There's multiple different shows, but
I'm talking about the one that the people from the Dahmer people made.
okay, so the Netflix show where.
Yes.
Okay, so it depends.
Yeah, so I'm not even gonna
you got to remember that whoever makes these shows, they can
as their point of view.
Yeah, their agenda. They can put any spin they want on it. Blah 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 blah. Right. So.
No, I know.
But anyway, there's two veins of thought here. The first is they brutally murdered their parents. They deserve death or life in prison without parole. There's that group of people. And then there's the group of people that believe wholeheartedly that these two brothers were sexually abused and molested by their father. And that because of that they were mentally unstable, and that's why they murdered their parents. Now, those people on that side of the aisle believe that the act was justified because of years and years of alleged sexual abuse and molestation. Okay? Now, those people believe that the only reason why they were convicted is because they killed their mother, too. And both sides agree that the mother had nothing to do with any alleged molestation and sexual abuse. So if the father was sexually abusing them, why kill the mother too? That's essentially why people believe on both sides that they were convicted. They could not explain away the murder of the mom as well as the dad if the dad was the one that they were afraid of. Go ahead, Katie.
That's not that hard of an explanation. If we believe that they were molested, she'd let it happen.
And so that's what the boys say. That's what the boys have said. But they did not say that at the time of the trial.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of people believe, and I'll get to your comment in a second, Fubar, give me 1 second. What a lot of people on this side of the aisle who believe they brutally murdered their parents believe is that their defense attorney came up with this story of the molestation and that it didn't actually happen. Okay? Now, you talked about new evidence, right? And why would this district attorney all of a sudden, and you have to remember the district attorney is on the side of the city. They're the ones that prosecute these criminals, right? So this is not a defense attorney that wants to get these boys resentenced. This is literally the law. Okay, the person that's in charge of the law in LA County that's trying to get them resentenced. All right? Mm-hmm. Now, even in your own quote in the article, he said that people within his own office were mixed on whether they were molested and sexually abused or not. However, what this article does not mention is the new evidence. And that new evidence is a member of the Hispanic music group Menudo has come out and said that he was brutally sexually assaulted by Jose Menendez. So now you have corroborating evidence years and years later that these boys were telling the truth. And if that's the case, then they do deserve a resentencing. That's my opinion, just from the legal side of things. Does that mean that I think they were justified in killing their mom? Of course not. Okay, if their mom had nothing to do with it, blah, 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 I understand that she should not have been killed. However, Kadie made a good point. When you are being abused, anybody who you feel knows about the abuse and does nothing to stop it, in the mind of the abused, that person is just as culpable as the person that's doing the abusing. They are just as responsible in their mind.
And the way, okay, and the show I'm watching, it really is like it's all kind of, it's very open-ended, which this is why I like it, because like it shows you like all of this shit, and it claims, and like it shows you what the brothers are saying versus like it shows you like both sides of the coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like how they were growing up and everything like that, and like the dad, all that kind of shit. But in there, it also shows mom like alcoholic, pill popper. I'm sure they're claiming that. And if that's also the case, then that's worse.
So Fubar has made a couple of comments in the live chat. And guys, if you are watching on YouTube and Spotify later on, I implore you all to come check us out on Twitch when we are live. And you can participate in the actual recording of the podcast. The first one that Fubar said is, I do believe they were molested by their dad, but their mom was innocent and they killed her execution style. Sort of.
Yeah.
And number two, I still think they did it for the money because of the way they tried to cover up the murder and their spending habits after the fact. And that second statement, Fubar, is one of the things 100% that got them convicted. 100%.
That nailed the coffin.
That's right. Their behavior after the act was very celebratory, in my opinion. And that was the... If you watch these new shows that have come out nowadays, where, the defense attorney is like trying to kind of, move past some of these things that are very damaging to her client, that was one of the things that was very damaging to their clients. Now, we can't look at it that way, though, because they were convicted back then, right? So you have to look at it like this. They were convicted. A jury of their peers sentenced them for the crime, and they have thus far served their time on the crime. Okay? What we have to determine is whether or not they deserve a resentencing hearing. Okay? And basically, the corroborating evidence says somebody else was brutally sexually assaulted by the same person, and almost word for word is the exact same thing that Lyle was saying was done to him, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's corroborating, and that might be enough, legally speaking, to resentence. And because of their age at the time of the crime, they would be eligible for parole. That doesn't mean they will get parole. So then you have to look at the 35 years that they've served since this case went down, and what kind of what kind of prisoners have they been? Have they been in trouble? Have they been model citizens in prison? Did they have a record when the crime was committed originally? All of those things are going to come into play. So if their records are clean in prison and they didn't have priors when they committed the crime, I think they have a good chance of getting out.
Oh yeah.
Just because, again, it's the DA, it's the district attorney that's essentially fighting for them, not the defense, which is very interesting. So
I don't know how I feel about it, personally, like, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, essentially, what you have to try to determine is, do you believe they were molested, okay, and sexually abused? I think it's likely they were, which means
Yeah.
if you believe that, then you have to understand that there is likely going to be some self defense actions being done.
Here's my biggest problem. There are a lot of fucking people that are abused
hmm,
that don't abuse or kill or hurt other people.
I agree. And again, the original conviction was made because of three reasons, I believe. A, the attack was premeditated, it was carefully
Yeah.
planned, and it was carefully covered up. That's A.
Yeah.
B, they killed the mom, even though she had no culpability in the actual abuse of the two kids. Now, does she have secondhand responsibility in the minds of the kids? Perhaps, but there's no direct abuse from her to the children. And C,
Yeah.
the celebratory spending of the money after the fact. Those are the three reasons they got convicted, in my opinion. So basically, what you have to do now, as the legal system, is have they been rehabilitated? So we all know that they're criminals, maybe justifiably criminals. I mean,
Well, and here's the
that's a matter of
thing.
opinion too.
Rehabilitated, they hated their fucking parents and they killed their parents. Like, do we, another thing, do we believe they're going to kill again or no?
I personally don't think they
No.
would. I think it's
I
very.
don't think they would either.
I don't think. I think when a district attorney is saying that he believes somebody's rehabilitated, they don't typically come out and say that unless they know it, because the district
Yeah.
attorney is a duly elected position. So essentially, he answers to the citizens of his county, and if he doesn't believe it, then he has to be careful because he can be very easily voted out. And this is a very high profile case. So if these Menendez brothers get out and they do something else, this guy's career is over, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
know
It's an
either.
interesting thing. I'd love to hear people's opinions on this out there. If you are watching us, do you believe they're rehabilitated? Do you believe they deserve to get out? I find it all interesting. But yeah, I've watched two or three of these shows that have come out recently, and the spin is different on all of them. It's so weird. If you watch it, like you watch this one, and the spin is towards the Menendez brothers. You watch this other one, and it's like, nah, these kids are really, really bad, you
This
know?
this one that I'm watching, I like a lot because it seems m- more informative. Now, it shows like that they were abused, and that is a belief, like there, like that's
Well,
there.
you're talking about
But
the
like,
Netflix one, though, where they're really trying to make it look like the defense attorney came up with the abuse.
I haven't got that far yet. I guess
Okay.
I'm not finished with it. I'm maybe I don't know how many episodes there are. Maybe done with the fourth.
I think she's already involved in that, though. Fubar said if they do get out, they will be the next O.J. Simpson. Well, they will not be a good citizen. Yeah, and that may not be representative of the fact that they're good or bad people. That could just be representative that they've been lifelong prisoners. They haven't lived a free life. I
Yes,
mean,
and
you know,
also like another. How old are they now?
now I think they're well, they were 17 and 19 at the time, and it's been 35 years. So I'm going to say 52 and 54, perhaps. That's my guess. Let's see if I'm right. 52 and
I'm good.
54 is my guess.
53 and 56.
Oh shit, I was close.
Yeah.
I know they were. I know one of them was, I think, 17 or 18 at the time of the
An-
crime.
Another question. Can they even live in society after?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, it depends on what their finances are going to look like. But yeah, if they get out, they're leaving LA. They'll go somewhere quiet, like in the mountains or something like that. If they're smart, that's what they'll do. But
No, but how are they like? They're not gonna know what the fuck to do.
I'm
Like,
sure.
they had their entire lives handed to them, for one.
Yeah, but when you got people like Kardashian fighting for you, I mean,
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian's fighting for them. I'm sure if they get out, they'll be fine.